Good morning. I start my second week of morning television on Thanksgiving Day. And Thanksgiving Day isn't the normal appropriate kind of title for the kind of news and comment that I do. If you watched last week, you'll see that Webster was back at the stand of provocation and confrontation, a few snide remarks here and there on trying to cause trouble and create public interest. Trudeau was an example. Des McDermott of the Canadian Labour Congress was an example. Rathy, the City Hall cat among the pigeons, was another example. But I remember, and I know full well, that not all television has to be misery and political confrontation. Because in August 1977, I met a girl. She was then 21, and she came in to see me in desperate need of some comfort and some help. When I say she came in to see me, I can say, because she's a wonderful person, that she staggered in to see me. She had been classified for a number of years as, let's put it bluntly, retarded. Now, this girl had a standard, routine story to tell. She suffers from a form of cerebral palsy. And she'd gone all the rounds. She'd had her grade 12 education, which didn't help very much indeed, and she'd been working on LIP programs and qualified for unemployment insurance, and that was the end of the line. But this so-called retarded girl, a shining example to other people, had something else to offer. As you can see, she can ride a bike. She can't only ride a bike, she can swim, she can drive a car, she can snow ski, she can water ski, she can do anything a normal person can do, perhaps a little slowly. But she is in business now. And I sent my colleague, Brian Coxford, out to give us a report on how little Nova Bannatyne is doing.
The small things that many of us take for granted every morning are so much of an ordeal for a person with cerebral palsy. It's a disease that attacks the mobility of a person and takes away much of their independence. When Nova Bannatyne was born, an oxygen deficiency caused her illness. She was regarded as being retarded and treated so. Determined to succeed, she fought her physical handicap. In grade 10, her guidance counselor, in keeping with the common belief of a lot of people, told her to quit school. He told her she couldn't cut it. Today, she has a high school diploma, hopes to go on and complete university, and later in life open her own boutique. In high school, her pet peeve was people who walk too fast. Her favorite saying, "You're lucky."
When I first born out, the doctor pronounced me dead because I wasn't breathing or anything. But a nurse gave me mouth, and it brought me to life. And then they told me, Mom sent me away, I was going to be retarded. I'll be invincible. That's all.
You went to school?
Yeah. When I was 5 years old, I was put into a retarded school with retarded kids. And I stayed there for 3 years. And then I was put into a special class with slow kids.
Was it your teacher that noticed that you weren't retarded?
Yeah, the teacher that took me out of the retarded school became my teacher in the special class.
And then when you grew up a little bit and you were in your younger years, did the kids used to tease you at all?
Oh yeah, always. I was always getting teased at school. And I used to go home crying to my mom. And she would just turn around and say, "Don't come crying to me. Get out there. Beat them if you have to." And yeah, if you come home crying, I'll just give you something to cry for.
Nova used to be nervous meeting people. She worried about how she'd be accepted in a society that finds it hard to understand how a person can cope with such a physical handicap. Monday to Friday, we'll find her at the office of the Greater Vancouver Regional District. She's a mail clerk there, a job that she landed in April through the help of her friends. It wasn't easy for her to find work. Employers tend to look down on handicapped people. One employer assisted her in filling out her application form. Then as Nova turned to walk away, he started laughing and threw the application in the wastepaper basket. Most individuals would have quit, but for a girl with so much courage and desire, she tried even harder.
Well, you've got yours on today.
Yeah, like
You're lucky
it.
I didn't have mine on as well.
Yeah. You can't copy me.
Why?
I had mine first, so that makes me better. I'm cuter anyway. Bye-bye. I started my search. I went every office building downtown, all around town, Manpower, all the disabled society that helps you.
How many applications did you fill out?
182.
Nova has started writing a book. The book is very simply titled, Just Think, I Could Have Been Normal.
It tells how people were towards me, how I was towards them, how I got teased, how I had trouble with walking on ice when it snowed. But now I learned I can't be afraid of that no more. People are either going to take me as I am or leave me.
How do you feel about life now?
Great. Everything going good for me. I got a job that pays good. I'm into my book. I'm going dancing. I get my car. The people at work are easy to get along with. They like me. I like them. I haven't got a problem in the world. A prisoner of dependence am I, whose faith convicted me in the delivery room. serving a life sentence with no hope of parole. Behind the bars of my handicap, I must make my life and career. Through a crack in the wall, I peer upon the normal world, which I can never touch. Though I am serving time for a crime of being born, I am not shackled to the wall, for I have friends who break the chain they set me free.
Where did you get that picture of Nova and me?
That was taken, if you'll recall, the day you had the party and the last day you were on radio, your Hotline show.
Well, what did you make of Nova?
Pretty touching story when you consider 182 job applications. I just wonder how many people collecting UIC even filled out a 10th.
Who wrote that poem?
It's a fellow by the name of Rick Watson, who's incidentally also has cerebral palsy. He's quite physically handicapped, doesn't have the mobility that Nova has, but he sat down one day and wrote it, and it's very...
The astonishing thing about Nova, Brian, is that the improvement in the girl, you mean the actual improvement in her walking, and when I first ran into her, she couldn't even sign her name. And I don't know whether she signs it that well today. Mm-hmm. But the very fact that she was, classified as retarded, escaped from the retarded classification, is a hell of a tribute to an awful lot of people along the way, even though she's had a really tough time.
We just showed a very small segment of her at work, but just to watch her move around the GVRD, the way people react, just really highlighted the day.
Yeah, and in fact, what did you call her? What's her actual job?
She's mail clerk.
Mail clerk, and she's a permanent member of the union GVRD establishment now.
That's right, and the day that we did that was the day that she was made permanent. It's customary that you have a sort of a trial period, and that was her first permanent day.
Yeah, because there are a few other stories we can tell about the trouble she's had, but that particular union, and of course the GVRD, deserves a very big pat on the back. Wouldn't you agree?
I think so. We could mention that she had a problem at UBC. The union out there wasn't quite as sympathetic.
I can believe that. Okay, Brian, what do we do next with this? Do you think we might take some telephone calls on the Nova problem, on the whole business of what we're going to do? We might do that. Next to break.
You kill me hard.
It's not going to be hard at all.
What is your first words going to be, Jack?
What's your name?
Nova, then at
That'd be first.
Yeah, they got it wrong on the V4.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was...
Hey.
Do you want some coffee?
No, I'm fine.
Just
Okay, Jack?
spill it all over her bloody jumper. She
You
did.
could go. I don't spill. At that party, you were walking just like me.
Not that funny.
You have 9 minutes here, okay? 9.
None.
Stand by.
Heard that.
Well, they're listening on the microphone. I forget. What is your name anyway?
Nova, then at time.
B-A-N-N-A-T-Y-N-E.
Yes.
Well, you're very cock-a-hoop these days, Nova, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Eh?
What?
Let's go back to the beginning, though, Nova. And you told some of your story just now about, when you were a youngster. But you've had a lot of sympathy and understanding along the way, haven't you?
Oh, yes. I've always had people backing me up. When I said I can't do this, there was always someone telling me I could, and I must do it.
What was the very first job you had for money after you left
For
school?
money, I was the playground supervisor in Kimberley.
Standing in your head all the time, too, eh?
No, well, sometimes on the trampoline.
You're good on the trampoline.
Oh yeah,
Now-
not bad.
Look, how did you learn to snow ski?
Well, when I started junior high school, everybody went skiing in PE, and I wanted to ski because someone said anybody who could ride a bike can ski. So my PE teacher got me in with ski instructor. I went through the whole ski instructor class, every one of them. They couldn't teach me. So my PE teacher said, "Come on, Nova, I'll teach you how to ski." And there she taught me. She watched how my legs went. She goes, "Okay, Chica." Ever since then, I've improved.
Now you can teach me how to ski, but you had a low point. Why did you, I know why you left Kimberley. You felt that there was no real opportunity. Kimberley or Cranbrook? Kimberley.
Come
I said Cranbrook
BC.
once. Kimberley, BC. You came down to Vancouver and you got a job, first on a lit program.
Yeah.
Was that the one that Bruce Erickson gave you?
No, I was on a lit program with some other cerebral palsy people.
Was that any good? Did that help you at all?
It helped me. I became more aware of cerebral palsy people, but that's all.
And then Bruce Erickson did give you a job when you were actually, you know, really scraping around, and we've got to thank Bruce for that, haven't we?
Yes, we do. He hired me after the second time I was on your radio.
And then that was when you began to learn to type, wasn't it?
No. I began typing when I was put into a regular classroom when I about.
Remember the terrible disappointment you had when you thought you had a job out at UBC?
Until I ever.
Well, tell us about it.
Well,
And the reason I'm getting you to tell me this now is not to make a show of you, Nova, but to encourage other people with similar handicaps, many of whom probably are still look upon themselves as classified
oh
retarded.
yes, I think the main problem with CP people, they're told what they can't do, not what they can.
You mean in the cerebral palsy
Yeah.
business? They don't tell you what you can do.
Yeah.
But tell me about the UBC job.
Well, after filling in the application form at UBC and talking to a very nice counselor out at UBC, they phoned me up, told me I had a job in the library, stacking books. I was
What, stacking books?
books, books. And then they turned around and they phoned me and told me they made a mistake, that they had hired someone out of the unit.
They had a part-time casual who had priority over you to get the full-time job.
Yes.
Well, you must admit that is a problem, but at the GVRD, which union are you a member of? Can you-
The regional municipal
Employees.
employee
Yeah.
union.
Municipal Regional Employees Union or
Yeah,
something like that.
something like that.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Do you like the job?
Oh, I like the job. The people at, well, you know that commercial where it says the biggest handicap disabled people have are other people attitude. Well, at the GVRD, I guess in my case, I don't have a handicap because the people are great.
Mind you, you're never going to be a computer operator, are you?
Well, who knows?
Who knows, eh? What about... Gosh, your confidence is astonishing. Tell me about your book.
Oh, my book is about me. It starts off, far as I can remember, at the age of 3. It tells about my family, and then it goes on being in a retarded school, and how I got out of there into the special class. I wasn't in a regular class yet.
No.
Then I went on to normal class.
What's this about you buying a car?
Oh yeah, got my car, I got my license.
You've got your license,
Yeah.
you passed the test.
Yes,
Now, are you a reasonably good driver?
yes. Well, really, I shouldn't say that. My dad had me driving when I was 15 around Kimberley.
When you, don't tell anybody that. That was before you were the age to have a license.
Well, I
And once you
too
get,
late now.
so you're going to buy yourself, now you're a permanent civil service employee.
Yes.
Yeah, you're my favourite civil servant. You know the nasty remarks I make about them from time to time, eh? Mm-hmm. Okay, and how's this is a nice little house you're living in.
Oh yeah, 4-bedroom, great for parties.
Great for parties, you are a cheeky thing. Well, I want to read your book when you finish the draft.
Oh yeah, sure. You too will be in it, you know, 'cause of course you played a big part in my life.
I did not.
back
You
then.
played the biggest part in your life. When you
Well,
walked into that
you-
studio and you said to me, I want a job, or words to that effect.
Well, we did it, didn't we?
You did it.
You helped. You became a co-star.
I know, I'm your co-star. We'll have to do the Bannatyne Webster reports, eh? 60 minutes with Bannatyne and Webster. I'll be nice and you can be nasty.
Okay. It'd be hard for me to be nasty like you are.
You are. Nova, you think you should talk? Have you got all your friends lined up to telephone this morning?
Oh, yeah.
You spent the whole day on the phone
Yeah,
yesterday?
Yeah. I told everybody at work if they didn't phone in, talk to me, I would never talk to them again.
Okay, Bannatyne and large letters. Next, Bannatyne and Webster. To be deadly serious for one moment, the importance of the transformation, 99% by her own efforts, of Nova Bannatyne makes one understand the total frustrations of those youngsters and oldsters too, who are, as she said in the title of her book, just think, what's the title of your book?
Yeah, think I could have been normal.
Could have been normal. Just that little happenstance of fate whereby something in the system makes you appear. And all the time behind that is the sharpest, brightest mind for thousands of people whom our society has kind of shrugged off in many ways. We've made great improvements, but I think Nova must be regarded this morning as a classic example of the gal, very nearly normal, who made it by her family's encouragement, and they've been fantastic all the way through, and the encouragement of her friends. Now, being serious.
Yeah.
Wonder how many youngsters like you never got out of the special classes.
I don't know. I'd like to find out.
Do you think we'll ever know?
No.
But it means,
Like, what I've often wondered is that when I was born, they said I was going to be retarded. And told my mom and dad to send me away right away. I often wonder how many doctors say that to parents. They do get sent away. And
that's what I wonder.
that's what I've always...
Mind you, I know that your mother and father worried about you living on your own in Vancouver, especially
yeah.
in the early days, didn't they?
Oh, yes. But they knew I was bound and determined to do it. They never
I forgot to ask you, how
stop
many
me.
brothers and sisters do you have?
2 sisters.
2 sisters.
Both married.
Both married.
Yeah, and kids.
Have you any plans in that direction?
I'm not saying.
Tell me to mind my own business.
My own business. As you said one time, go jump in the lake.
I didn't say that to you.
No,
I said
but-
it to somebody on the air. Well, that's normal. Go ahead to Nova.
Hello, Nova.
Hello.
This is Wynn from the GVRD.
Hi, Wynn. How are you?
Great to see you. You're a great ray of sunshine in the GVRD.
Thank you.
Help you. You help us. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wynn. Go ahead, please.
Hello, Nova.
Hello.
You've got guts, and I appreciate someone like you coming on and telling Jack Webster where to go to. Go away. And keep it up, Nova. I've gone to the unemployment insurance, and they've told me that I'm mentally retarded because I'm looking for a job, and I'm 51 years of age. And if I'm... Well, you're just a bright sunshine.
Thank you very much. Tell us about the times you went to the unemployment insurance. How many times did you go?
Very few times. I didn't go unless I have to go.
But didn't you go and see the special placements people or something?
Yeah, I went to the special. I went to about 4 or 5 disabled organizations. I went to, I had trouble with UIC when I worked the 4 days, if you remember.
Oh, it threw your benefits all out.
through my benefits.
Go ahead to Nova Bannatyne.
Okay. Hi, Nova. This is Jenny in purchasing.
Hi, Jen.
Hi there. Darling, we all love you, but don't you be late for work tomorrow, will you?
I'll try not to.
Thanks very much, Jenny in purchasing. Go ahead, please. Hello there.
Hello, hello, Nova.
Hello,
This is Tony, the rain gauge man.
Tony.
Yeah, you know the old fellow that rides around the truck with Jimmy Wilson.
Oh, yes.
We
yeah.
love to hear you, and I'm real glad to see you on the TV. And keep up the good work, Nova.
Thank you very much. You're the star, the television star of Jack Campbell and the GVRD. Eh? Go ahead, please.
Yes, Mr. Webster.
Yes, sir.
I think being Thanksgiving Day, everybody should give a lot of thanks to meet someone like that. And
Well,
appreciate the work you're doing.
so do I, sir. Thanks very much.
Did you ever think to start up some kind of a fund to help others?
That's a delicate and dicey area where you can get involved in diffusing effort. For specific cases, yes. I remember once when Nova was told, if I'm right, Nova, why don't you just go on the disabled handicap, right?
Yeah.
Who,
Okay.
was it a government official that told you that?
Government official, other people.
Said just go on a handicap
Yeah.
pension.
Mostly disabled people wanted me to do that.
Well,
They
so
said, you can't work. No one hires that gimp.
Oh, don't call yourself a gimp in the name of goodness, Nova. That's awful. Really, that's a dreadful word.
Well, it's true.
If I'd said gimp, you'd have hit me over the head with a coffee
Well,
cup.
I could say it, but you can't.
And I don't
Go
want
for
you
it.
to say it either. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Nova. It's Beverly from Planning.
Hi, Deb.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Thank you.
Certainly, Jack, by having Nova work with us, she certainly opened my eyes to people who have this determination and courage. And we'll see you on Tuesday, Nova.
Okay.
Thanks very much. Oh, what do you want to say? Go on.
You know that I told everybody at GVRD to phone, but I've got to give them each $1 of my wages.
Go ahead, please. Where are you?
Oh, hello.
Speak up, sir.
I was just wondering, had she ever received any physio or occupational or speech therapy to help her along her way, and if it did any good at all?
Coming from Kimberly, we didn't have the same facilities that they do in Vancouver. I came down to the Children's Hospital every year for therapy. But I don't know if it helped or not.
Not enough, I don't think.
Okay,
I
dokie.
don't know. Because I think if I would have grown up in Vancouver, I would have never accomplished most of the things I've done now.
I want to tell you that since August 77, your walking has improved, your speech has improved, and you can actually now sign your name.
Yeah.
You couldn't sign your name before.
No, I couldn't.
And that's just the incentive of being recognized as a person who can do a job, isn't it? Good for you. From Port Hardy, go ahead, please.
Good morning, Nova.
Good morning.
May I tell you what a beautiful way to start the day. What a fantastic little personality you have. Your eyes are literally the soul of you. Love shines from them. And someone with great tenacity? My dear child, where did you start? Some time ago, I did a lot of social work for a religious organization. And I used to go into the sanatoriums and see these little children lying in beds, victims of cerebral palsy. They never got any further, I'm sure. So I'm sure when you say that a lot of fault lies with the CP people, you're quite right. But then, darling, not everyone is gifted with your tenacity. May God bless you and keep you as a soul of inspiration to other people.
Thank you very much. We'll all be in tears in a minute.
Oh, no.
On a Monday morning here. It's supposed to be bad-tempered. Go ahead, please.
Hello, me?
Yeah.
Nova, it's Pat.
Hi, Pat.
How are you?
Oh, good.
Still a cheeky brat.
I am not.
Jack, the reason she's not telling you when she's getting married because she's too damn busy playing the field. Love you, baby.
And, Nova, I just want to say, I think you're fantastic, and I expect you to do great things, and your book will be a big success.
I hope so.
Thank you, Nova Bannatyne.
Thank you, Jack Webster.
Next a break. It's no exaggeration to say that the man I'm going to interview now is, in his own time, a living legend. Angelo Branca, QC, former Court of Appeal judge in British Columbia, a man with a fantastic legal career behind him, a man who isn't afraid to speak his mind on issues as you will now see.
I don't think we've gone too soft. I think perhaps we've gone a little on the soft way with juveniles. And there, I think a court should go the soft way and lean backwards, maybe time and time again, to endeavor to reform a young fellow. But with the real experienced criminal, the hardcore men, the people who commit serious crimes, I don't think the court has gone soft at all.
You mean they're still as tough as they ever were?
Yes.
But then you hand them away for 20 years, or you did when you were on the Supreme Court bench and the Court of Appeal. You might confirm it and increase it, and what happens? From the point of view of the public, Mr. Branca, they seem to be out in 5 minutes on day passes, temporary absences, and committing more crimes.
You are quite right, and that is something, of course, that the courts have no control over at all. What the probation department does and how they remit the sentence is something that's completely beyond the control of the judge. Except in murder cases where a minimum period is established before a prisoner can apply for parole.
You're talking about the new law, the 25-year law.
That's right.
And is it the judge or the jury who establishes the minimum period?
The jury does.
So therefore...
And in the absence of a recommendation from the jury, I think the judge does it.
Yeah, but the point isn't yet quite taken. Now, you've long experience in murder trials. How many did you take as a defense counsel? With defense counsel?
62, and I had 5 as a prosecutor.
And now, take the 62 defense ones. How many were convicted?
2 were convicted and 2 hung.
2 would be hanged in those days. Capital punishment, therefore, is something which must be an abhorrence to you, or is it?
Absolutely. I think it has no place in the law books of a civilized nation.
You'd realize that that is not the public's feeling today.
No, I don't think the public really are the ones who should properly judge the question of capital punishment, Jack.
But what the public wants, surely, Mr. Branca, is the law of Moses, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. What about syndicate killings, contract killings?
Syndicate killing is an abhorrent type of killing, but fortunately in our society we don't have it. We may have drug-related killings and things like that, but syndicate killings are a minor consideration in our society.
We have the odd case where the hitman is paid to come out and knock somebody off.
That may be so, but I don't think you could add up 5 cases in the whole of your experience in British Columbia where that has happened.
And to you, capital punishment is not and has never been a deterrent?
Never.
Mind you, I remember you saying in the past that there were occasions. What would be the occasions you might go for capital punishment?
Now, if I felt inclined to go that way, I would go for kidnappings. Kidnapping is the case where I go. Drugs, trafficking in drugs. I would go for capital punishment there. Strangely enough, I wouldn't even go for capital punishment in the killing of a policeman, because I don't think there's anything more sacred about a policeman's life than there is about the poor storekeeper down on the corner who's trying to make a living, and a robber comes in to rob him.
Matter of fact, the policeman has a better chance because he's got a gun.
That is right.
But you would go, and witness, I'd like you to reconsider that answer in case you wish to change it. Did you not tell me, sir, that you would seriously consider capital punishment for major drug traffickers?
That's right.
How do you justify that if you're not against
I said if I could bring myself to decide that capital punishment should be imposed, that is a case where I would. And the reason I would impose it there is that the drug trafficker has no mercy, no compassion on anybody at all. He's out there for the cold dollar. He doesn't care whether the drugs reaches into the high schools, the university, or how many lives that he wrecks. This is why I might be impelled or inclined to do it in a case like that.
Well, you have qualified your answer slightly. You
Not
said,
very much.
if I could bring myself
That's right.
to imposing capital punishment, you might consider
That's
on the drug trafficker.
That's it.
Well, it's a clear
I
answer.
think maybe I'd go a little further than that.
Oh, right. See, I don't want to go out, write a headline and say, former Court of Appeal judge approves hanging for traffickers, because that's not quite right.
No, that's not quite right.
Mind you, you've dealt with all kinds and manners of criminals, except one category that you have deliberately avoided.
The drug?
Yes.
Deliberately avoided those all of my life.
Why, though? I mean, surely it was your function as the leading lawyer of your day, probably still are, to give even the worst trafficker the right of the best defense.
That is quite right, Jack, but I know I couldn't give a drug trafficker my best defense because my heart wouldn't be in it.
Mm-hmm.
So he might as well get somebody else who can put his heart into it and give him the 100% defense that he thinks he's entitled to.
Let's not get away from the heroin, Mr. Branca. Do you have an answer? And what is it?
Yes.
What's the answer?
My answer is to make drugs freely available to the addict, but given to them under supervision. Now we are told that this system has failed in England. We are told that it has failed in the United States in various places that they have had it. That doesn't make any difference to me. The drug problem today is no longer a problem for the police. It's no longer a problem for the courts. It's a problem for society. And I think if the profit motive were taken out of the drug traffic, that we would soon have that in hand.
You feel, therefore, that if the registered addict went to the clinic every day and they jabbed the needle in his arm once or twice or how many times a day, that he could become a useful citizen?
Well, I don't know. If he doesn't become a useful citizen, you could give it to him 8 or 10 times a day if he wants it that often, and then maybe he'll die quicker. It's an awful way to say, but that is the path of the drug addict.
But look at the booze, Mr. Branca. It's freely available, and it's only for juveniles. It's only for adults.
You mean liquor?
Yeah.
Liquor is a beautiful thing for a man. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Oh, be serious, Mr. Branca.
I am serious. Nothing wrong with liquor at all.
But you'd be putting the bacillus of heroin available through a government agency. Okay. And there's nothing lonelier than a drug addict and nothing more devious than a drug addict.
Well, there might be places where drug addicts could be put together. What I'm saying is this. The moment you convict and you put a trafficker in jail, there are half a dozen others who, because of the profit that is involved, is willing to step into his shoes despite the big chances that they take. That is the only solution to the problem.
Mr. Branca, with all due deference, respect, and humility, surely what you're suggesting is really idealistic. Because you couldn't do it in one country alone. You couldn't do it in BC alone, could you?
Well, how can people come up who have traffic records from the United States? I think this could be handled well. It may have been the experience in other places that everybody from around the country goes to this hospital and wants the drugs and so on. And it has been that they have received the drugs to administer to themselves. Now, this is all wrong. There has been trial and error. Let's try it again, see what we can pick out that may be beneficial to the system, and try to work it out that way.
Well, a snide remark, if you'll forgive me. It would put half of the legal profession on welfare if we wiped out the drug prosecutions and defenses, wouldn't it?
I'm not going to say what I feel inclined to say there. No, I don't think so. They find something else to do.
When a man like Angelo Branca, with all his wealth of wisdom and experience, advocates the legalization of heroin, I suppose you've got to give it some careful thought. I myself cannot accept that, purely from the moralistic point of view. Mr. Branca is equally outspoken on a number of other topics, including compulsory retirement for judges at the age of 75, and you'll see part 2 of the Branca interview tomorrow. But first, for the balance of this program this morning until 10 o'clock, I'm going to give you a chance to have at me, to dissect me, to criticize me, to criticize the programs I've done, or for that matter, to tell me what you think I should be doing from here on in on morning television. So next, Webster on the phones. Remember, this is a new experience for me as well as for you. The morning telephone talks on television. And you'll notice that since I started this program, I come in nice and crisp and shaved and dressed up, you know, and all the rest of it. This isn't the real me at all. Give me a couple of months. Give me a couple of months and you'll see the real Webster. I'm just beginning to learn to relax, but I'm going to take what we used to call in the good old days or the bad old days of free-for-all. Go ahead, please. Where are you?
Right here.
Speak up.
I think that your views on the legalization, not necessarily the legalization, but the making drugs available to addicts is totally out of line.
In other words, you'd go for the free heroin.
I would go to destigmatizing human beings so that and making it available to them so they don't have to steal and hurt to obtain the drugs.
Are you a user?
No.
Are you a social worker?
No.
You're just an ordinary, common, or garden citizen?
Right.
In 1963, I was involved in a prison riot where I was surrounded by 400 criminal addicts in the BC pen.
But they're made criminals by society.
In 63, I think the criminal aspect came first before the drug addiction. I will concede with you that it's now a social disease, in many ways more than a criminal disease. It's just that my generation, with my background, find it very hard to make the moral judgment that we're going to get, as I said to Mr. Branca, the bacillus of heroin disease freely available. But I'm the first to concede that you may be right, that it may be the final answer. In desperation, there was a time when I thought perhaps the only way to wipe out the...
It's obvious it's a failure now, is it not?
No, it's not obvious it's a failure now, but I'll be dealing with that in detail Wednesday morning next week with McClellan, Hoskins, and Bewley, and a few other people, and I do hope you'll give me a fair hearing on it. But
one more thing, okay? In the 30s, before the laws were passed against the use of heroin, there were many citizens that used heroin that were also upstanding citizens in the community. They held jobs, and it wasn't until heroin was made illegal that they had to go to the dregs, so to speak, of society to obtain it. They had to go to the underworld to get it.
I don't agree with you, but I respect your right to have your own views. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Jack, is that me?
Not you.
Hi, you're looking good on television, a lot better than you did on radio. Lost a little weight, you're
It's
clean
all
clothes and
makeup.
all look nice.
It's all makeup. It's all makeup. You should see
Makeup
me
with
naked.
You, you're an old turkey. But you still got your head in the wrong spot when it comes to the decriminalization of marijuana and...
Oh, that's not you, Baker, is it?
That's me, Baker.
Oh, Norm Baker. Are you off welfare yet?
George. No, I'm still on welfare, Jack.
You're still on welfare?
Your efforts just weren't worth a damn.
Remember I tried to
Follow
get
yourself, Jack. I'm sorry, you got to follow the law, the rules, and regulations.
Remember I tried to get you off welfare?
Yes, you tried very hard.
And you appealed?
And I appealed.
And you won the appeal?
I won the appeal.
And as executive secretary of Normal, you're still on welfare?
That's good enough, Jack.
I'd take you off now.
Would you?
Yeah, I sure would. Anyway,
I know you would, but I do wish you'd read some of our literature, Jack. Look at the problem.
I've read most of your garbage.
No, you didn't.
One of these days, George, we'll have you, myself, and one of your lawyer friends in here, and we'll have a little Barney.
Okay, we'll go for that, Jack.
That's a promise. Thanks very much, George.
Okay, we'll see you.
I hope you're getting by all right.
Jack.
I hope you're getting by all right.
I'm doing okay.
Don't forget to make special applications for special needs.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay. Special needs. Snide, eh? Go ahead, please.
Jack.
That's right.
Jack, I enjoyed most of your interview with Pierre Trudeau.
Yeah.
But I think that you and a lot of your fellow reporters have a tendency to go very soft on Trudeau. I never hear the real hard questions regarding the state of Canada's budget in the 10, 11 years that he's been in, about the increase in the people in the Privy Council, and a lot of real hard questions that maybe the average guy doesn't even know about.
Yeah, I mean the PCO. Well, let me give you the difficulty. If you can give me a prime minister or any politician whom I can sit here for an unlimited period, now I'm not saying it's his fault, but I just want to give you a situation, and I can put the Bible in their hand and say, do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And keep at them on that one question until I'm finished with them, like a judge could do, be a different kind of interview. But when you're dealing with the cleverest politicians, they always have an answer. Now, I'll concede that if I had wanted to bore in, say, on one particular thing and do the entire interview on that one particular thing, that I might have got a specific answer. For instance, I nagged him on, is the fact that you've got 2,300,000 new jobs any comfort to the million unemployed? And he brushed me off and said, yes, it should be. Well, I should have stopped him then, cold, and said, no, come on. You know, don't be silly. I'll concede that one tends to be soft, partly to keep the interview moving. Perhaps the best way to get a guy like Trudeau or any other politician is in a good press conference, not an Ottawa press gallery type press conference. I'll concede and I'll plead guilty that I didn't go as hard and as persistently in some of the key things. I went after them fairly tough in capital punishment, where I think it showed their hypocrisy. But I accept your point. Go ahead, please.
Hi, is me now?
You.
Yeah, I'd just like to say congratulations to Nova, wherever she is. And I don't like all the stuff you're talking about, marijuana and all that, right?
Yeah.
You know, I don't think it should be legalized, whatever people...
Decriminalization of marijuana, as far as I'm concerned, is a bad thing. And let me finish on this note. I've got a telegram this morning to Nova Bannatyne from the Interior. Congratulations, it says. You are doing more for the handicapped people than any medical or physical institutions have done. You are the great incentive to the most important part of the handicapped's body, the brain. Hang in there, baby, Nova. You are the greatest. Yours in civil service, BCT fan from the interior. Tomorrow morning, Webster, 9 a.m. precisely.